here today. And Cornel West.
Well, I want to begin by saluting both you, your leadership, your persons who work with you, be they your interlocutors as well as those behind the scenes.
So let's just jump right into it, Dr. West.
Yes, indeed.
You are planning to go into Trump land and to speak to Trumpers and try to connect with them. How can you connect with them if you continuously call Trump a neo-fascist? I'm a little bit bothered by that same language towards Vladimir Putin. Putin's a thug. Putin's a gangster. I mean, if you're going to be the president of the United States, how are you going to sit down with a man across from you who you're supposed to getting rid of nuclear weapons and try to convince him of that? How are you going to talk peace? And I'm never going to vote for Biden. I'm never going to vote for Donald Trump. But if you put a gun to my head, Dr. West, and said I had to vote for either one of the two, I'm voting for Donald Trump. We're on the brink of World War III here now. Can you see the hypocrisy there?
I think it was really good that he made that point. I think it was really good that he just put that out there.
How do we get this message across that people are coming to our southern border because of our foreign policy?
No, but see, I think you're hitting on something very, very important.
In your mind, was the 2020 election fair? Do you regret kind of uplifting Dr. Fauci in this situation? Because people have said to me, they're like, you should ask Dr. West. It seems like there's more than one crack pipe going around.
I appreciate the challenge, and I appreciate you pushing me. And there are times in which I've got to get off the crack pipe too. I acknowledge that now.
Would you still say the vaccine is safe and effective, or would you recommend against it?
I just revel in your humanity, my brother.
Dr. West, you're too kind. Welcome back to the Convo Couch, everyone. Pasta Jardula here. Fiorella will be back Wednesday. Unfortunately, I have to take off tonight and go to New York. I had another family emergency. They've been coming up quite a bit lately. Unexpectedly lost my aunt a couple months ago, and I lost my cousin just recently. So I have to go there and attend to his services and his family and be with my cousins and my aunts and my uncles and all that stuff. And it's starting off the show today. I just want to say that life is precious, right? Life is a gift, and we shouldn't take it for granted. And at the end of the day, a lot of people have been, asking me about how I felt about some of the answers from Cornel West and his positions and his stances on certain things that I think he needs to obviously get up on, But I always believe that Dr. Cornel West was a man of integrity, was a man of love. Like I said, the first time I met him, he walked through a crowded room and he walked right to me. We just locked eyes and we gave an embracing hug, and just, human beings. And I still believe that Dr. Cornel West is there. Now, does that excuse some of the answers that he gave the other day and some of the areas he was kind of ignorant to? No, he needs to get on this. I got to say this much too. Aside from the fact that we are getting seriously crazy demonetized, guys, 63 people watching this video. When we would start videos a couple of years ago before the demonetization, before the shadow banning and the hardcore throttling, we would have, 600 people in before the show started at one point. That's where we had built this show up to, Fiorella and I. And it is a shame because we're going to go into it today about how we are getting throttled and how we are getting shadow banned. But back to the Cornel West interview, the thing that is really a little bit upsetting to me is that my based leftists, my leftist friends, the ones, the common sense leftists, the anti-imperialist leftists, not the Democratic Party ones, not the progressives that decided to stick around and acquiesce to the establishment, but the ones that I think that have a good head on their shoulders and still call themselves a leftist. A lot of them were very, very critical for my question from RFK when I asked him where he stood on Israel-Palestine, and I had to continue on with that question. And the Palestinians, they were just very, very harsh on him because then it opened up a can of worms, and all the media he went on after that really followed up on some of the questions that we did ask him. And particularly the one about Israel, him being a Zionist. We saw thumbnails from our friends over there. Let's get the Zionist on stage. We saw people make posts all the time. Well, those posts are lacking when it comes to Dr. Cornel West right now, and it's not so much the hypocrisy that's really bothering me. It's not so much that they are not concerned about the COVID situation. Is I think they're a little ignorant of it. Really, I think that's where we're at. And even though the virus is gone and we're no longer in COVID protocols, the infrastructure behind the scenes is set. This is really important. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand what's going on with COVID and you weren't critical of what Dr. West said, and there were people who were critical, the people I knew who would be critical were critical, but it's those left-based leftist people, friends of mine, and you know who you are, not mentioning you, the lack of holding accountable for Dr. West for his ignorance and his faults. Now, to Dr. West's credit, he said, I can learn and I can change on it. It doesn't seem like RFK is going to be changing on his stance on Israel, right? So that is a problem. However, if you don't understand COVID, you don't understand power. You don't understand the mechanism of oligarchs, predator class, and how they're controlling us. Because, like I said, even though it's not going on right now today, the infrastructure is set in place, and there's a lot of things working behind the scene. I mentioned the pandemic treaty. He's like, I heard about it, but he didn't know anything about it. You need to know about these things. This thing is important. And when it comes to the American voter holds the COVID protocols and what happened with the vaccine up in high standards, most of them a lot. Of course, there's people like Cornel West and a lot of the people who follow him who are ignorant to this stuff or who don't want to pay attention to this. Well, it's not going to fly. So we need to be consistent in our criticisms over there. So unfortunate, not seeing that, and would like to see that, but that's that. I also like to say I have never gotten so many comments before on an interview I did. And Cheese Slice, who was engineering the show today over there behind the ones and twos, really put together a great little trailer video where he was able to capture some of the love you guys gave me. And I saw a lot of that. Like, wow, I haven't seen an interview like this yet from Dr. Cornel West. Way to go. Way to ask him these questions. Way to be professional and polite and loving and still push him. That's something I pride myself on, because, I do know a lot about what happened with the COVID protocols because I have the right friends. I wasn't pushing people away. I wasn't canceling people. I was opening my eyes and ears and listening to them. And with a lot of my truther friends, whatever you want to call them, or that community, they present stuff to you and they say, look it up for yourself. And then you can see the connections. You can see the connections from Fauci to the Gates Foundation. You can see the connections from the funding of DARPA and bioweapons to, big pharma. You can see all this stuff. It's out there in the open. So hopefully Dr. Cornel West will get on these things. The election system too as well. Unfortunately, I think a lot of his rhetoric and his ideology is kind of based in this kind of like echo chamber of progressive leftists, with trying to explain, hit people at the points to conservatives where they may be lacking. Like, for instance, we had JB Font on the other day, and I was saying that I don't think that's so much that the conservatives are racist because they want to build a wall and they don't want to let people in here. They're convinced that their resources are not being used on their citizens or the people who came in here the right way. I mean, I don't mean to mock them, but JB Font put it out. We can have more resources. We can grow more food. We can have more things. I don't think there's a lack of resources. And there is a problem with the fact is that we're so dependent on corporations and states by the way we live, the products we eat, the food we eat. We're too dependent on that. And we have to make a connection ourselves. We have to grow our own food. We have to do these things. But JB Font was right on the nose. There isn't a lack of resources and about the resources. However, once again, they're not connected. And the Democrats do a bad job of this too. And that's why I gave Cornel West the opportunity to talk about why migration leads this way. So, it's being able to talk to these people is what really I attribute my knowledge to, is that I was open to listening to people who thought differently than me. And that's the most important thing. That's why I'm at where I'm at today. That's why that interview took place the way it did and it went the way it did. You know what I'm saying? Because I listened to everybody. Libertarians, conservatives, alt-right, alt-left, progressives. You take the time to be loving and caring and just open your ears and open your heart. You don't have to agree, but you don't strike back with cancel culture. So I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned on this whole situation for Dr. West. Some other people said, Pasta, wow, you really asked them these questions, and you were so professional and so nice, and you guys gave me so many accolades and so many compliments and stuff. Laura Lover, I see your question. Black American struggle should be the symbol of the workers' movement. You need to wake up that pasta. Well, I mean, there's a lot of talk about that. I don't think that you necessarily have to Black oppression and poor people, right? The working class needs to be tied together to itself. I mean, in other words, are you for poor people? Or are you for solidarity between the working class? Are you for Black oppression? And a lot of people say you have to do both together. The only problem is when you use terms like white supremacy. Most supremacists are white, but most white people aren't supremacists. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of white people there. So I've always found it better to tie solidarity together with a working class, not because I'm white, but because I know how a lot of white people feel when they're challenged and they say that, hey, man, my oppression is completely tied to the color of your skin or where you were born. Well, that's just going to push people away. It's kind of like what I told Dr. Cornel West about using the term neo-fascist. You're just going to push people away. There's a scene in the movie Bobby, which is about Bobby Kennedy, and it's by Morpheus, right? Lawrence Fishburne. And he talks about this. He's the head, one of the second chefs, and he got the night off because he was very kind and professional with his owner, and he got made fun of by Freddie Prince's character. I believe it was Freddie Prince or somebody else. He got made fun of it by his character. Oh, yes, sir, Mass, I'm gonna do what you want to do. He goes, you could talk shit about me, but guess what? You're working tonight, and I'm going to the game. You know what I'm saying? He eventually gave him the tickets and stuff. And he has this whole scene where he says, well, why do we gotta, clarify what's real and what's not? Why can't we just give it to them? Throw them a bone. Just make the white people think it's their idea. Who cares? In other words, what he was saying is that maybe we don't have to call it like it is or keep it real all the time. Maybe we can just, let park our ego a little bit. And if somebody thinks it's their idea, let them have an idea. The point is, if it gets talked about and the movement moves forward, who gives a shit who gets credit for it? I see a lot of this with like a lot of independent media person who get so pissed off at the fact that they've been talking about shit that Tucker's talking about now they were talking about 2 years ago, myself included. Dude, we went back and we looked. We did our ivermectin video in June 2020. Dr. Pierre Corey, who's known as the ivermectin doctor, did his first video 4 months after it. The Dark Horse almost did it a year after it, 9 months after it. Okay. Am I mad that I didn't get all the credit for being the first independent media outlet for breaking ivermectin? I would have liked to have gotten the credit. I would have liked to have gotten it, but there were people who noticed it and let me on the stage. But all I care about more than anything is that the knowledge of ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine is out there. I care about the cause more than who gets credit for it. You know what I'm saying? And that's something what we have to talk about when it comes to white supremacy. You know what I'm saying? Because that term turns people off because they immediately think that it's their fault, like, oh, you're the oppressed because you're Black, I'm the oppressor because I'm white. If you have that mentality, we're not getting anywhere. However, if we park it on the side for a second and we say, hey, listen, me and you, normal Black guy, normal white guy, we have a lot more in common than you do with Kamala Harris. We have a lot more in common than I do with Joe Biden. Okay, we push aside the color of our skin and we realize that it's a class issue that's really about keeping people up here and the other people down there. Then we are in the streets together, we're working. Then those people are going to be open to understanding your oppression and what you've had to go through. You know what I'm saying? I think that's the way to do it. And I know a lot of people give me shit because I'm a white guy and I say that, but that is the way to go about it. And that's how we will get these things done. And that's just my opinion. And that's what I've always done. That's how I've always approached the situation, guys. I only know the things I knew. And people were saying, wow, Pasta he knows his shit. He knows what's going on. Well, I only know that because I've allowed myself to talk to people who think differently than me without chastising them. I have a very short line of people that I will demonize. Bad actors, bad players I will demonize. I will go after. Those being who? The Bannonites. Steve Bannon, who funded by the Hudson Foundation, funded by an oligarch, a Chinese oligarch named Miles Guo, and his little Jack Posobiec and all his little minions. I have a short span, a short freaking threshold for people who want to start World War III with China. It's just crazy. And I will call those people out. And I've been saying this for quite some time. And this is some of my conservative friends when I talk to them. I'm like, I really think See, yeah, I think Lana's talking about that's right too as well. They do, but if you have to take time to explain it and go into that, it's going to be how are you going to explain your message to everyone? I'd love to see if we, Cheese Slice, while I go into this next section, we play this film, see if you can pull up Lawrence Fishburne's scene from Bobby. Let's see if we can get that and explain that, because does it really matter how things are getting done as long as they get done sometimes? Yes and no. You know what I'm saying? If it's just about not the right message getting across, how we should get it across is matters, and we're in the streets together fighting the oligarchs, that's what matters most. If we come together. Back to the whole Chinese thing, I have a thin line for people who are going to try to start World War III for China. And my conservative friends who I said, would you please stop using the term communism? You're using it wrong. And this is the same thing. The reason why I explained to them, well, these people really aren't full-blown communists. A lot of these people in the streets we're talking about, a lot of them, I use the term cappuccino communists because they're not part of a collective government like the socialists in Nicaragua who have to come together to get the empire off their neck. They're not like big-time Leninist and Stalinist or, they've read Engels, is they come together, pull their resources because they have to fight off the empire. That's why they have a socialist government, and that's because of our actions. It's a reaction, right? But when they use these terms, I said, what these people that call themselves socialist and communist, it's the things that matter most to them is that their labor, they get to reap the fruits of their labor. They make all the products. They should get to benefit from making all those products and not have the corporations take advantage of them. People go capitalists are just greedy. They're awful. They're terrible. They just want to make money. They just want to enrich themselves. That's not what capitalism is to a lot of these people, the average normal citizen. They believe that capitalism is about choice, and they're not going to be pigeonholed as a socialist to take this medicine, to take this healthcare, to have, you know what I'm saying? That's what they believe. And when we had this show between, I had, Fiorella had on, who was it? Caleb Maupin and Clint Russell, right? So Clint Russell's a libertarian. And what do all capitalists say, or libertarians say? We've never achieved true capitalism because it's only anarchism. There's no red tape. You know what I'm saying? There's no interference from the government. And then communists say the same thing. We've never had pure communism. So, I mean, they say these things all the time, but I think if we focus on what people really want, not the ism, we'll get to the answer we need cleaner and quicker. Here, bring this up, Cheese Slice, and take a look at this video here. I know we're kind of going off script, but I think it's important. And thank you guys all who gave me these great compliments about the we did a lot of work, me and Cheese Slice, a lot of homework.
Chef Special, Edward?
Now, Miguel, you know if I could, I would.
Bullshit, man. I see you serving the brothers the good stuff. White folks, too. You don't see them eating this dog food?
Lord, today, do we have to do this every day, Miguel?
Every day you keep putting the brown man down, Edward. Keeping the brown man down.
Putting the brown man down. That's right. Let's keep the brown man down. Let's send the brown man back across the border to his sweet senoritas and his refried beans.
First of all, we didn't cross the border crossed us. And our senoritas are better than your fried chicken eating mama with the big backyard.
Ooh. Hey, you smell that? Look at that. My very own special berry coffee. Fresh out of the oven. But since you had to put my mama in it, excuse me, there you go, Jose. Enjoy it.
Come on, man.
Come on, man. Mexican boys can't play the dozens. I don't know why you keep on, Miguel.
Wow, man. And what do you know about the dozen?
I know that I got some Convo. You don't.
Sell out.
No. Yeah. It's good, ain't it, Jose? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that recipe was handed down by my great-grandmother.
Let me have some of that. Come on, brother.
We ain't brothers, amigo.
And we ain't amigos, brother.
You working a double shift like the rest of us? I most certainly am not.
You must be the only one.
You know why? Why? Too good looking for that mess.
You ain't working a double because Whitey's afraid of your black ass, man. They're afraid you're gonna go out Huey Newton on them, or violent. See, they ain't afraid of us yet, Jose. Not yet, man, but one day One day they will be, man. We're gonna get the respect that we deserve. We're gonna take back California, take back our land, man.
I want you to park that anger in my kitchen, young man.
I want you to get your hand off my shoulder, Negro.
Whoa. All right, keep it up. See, the first few times I tried to make this dessert, I couldn't get it right. Too much sugar one time, not enough sugar the next time, couldn't find the balance. I realized I was forcing it, trying to make it taste like my mama's or her mama's. Mine didn't have any poetry, didn't have any light. And then I realized I was trying to force it to taste like my mother's, taste like her mother's. See, it had to be Edward's creation. It had to come from me. And you, Miguel, you got shit to offer. You've got no poetry. You've got no light. You've got no one looking at you and saying, damn, look at that Miguel. I want some of what he's got. All you got is your anger.
I ain't angry.
I'm sorry I didn't hear you. Come on, speak
I
up.
said I'm not angry.
All right. I used to be just like you. I had anger. When that Dr. King was killed, well, anger like you can't even imagine. White folks ain't trying to keep you down, Miguel. White folks just don't like to be pushed into a corner. They'll come around. You just gotta make it look like it was their idea, like they're the ones that thought of it. They need to feel like they're the great emancipators. Like it was theirs to give in the first place. Let them have it. If that's all it takes, let them have it. Can you dig it? I know my man Jose can dig it, can't you?
Yeah. Edward? That's your famous convo I'm smelling down my office?
Yes, sir, Mr. Timmons. I just pulled a fresh batch out of the oven. I'll make sure some gets to your office directly, sir.
I'll get some sent to you office directly, sir. Step and fetch it, motherfucker. Hey.
I'm not working a double shift today, though, am I? Amigo.
My bad, I was muted. What do y'all think? I mean, that scene to me is deep, right? It really is. Because it's hard when people have told me, I said, well, what about this here? And I was always told that who are you to tell other people how to protest? Who are you to tell people how to think? You know, you have to understand your lane. And once again, going back to that, you're the oppressor because you're white kind of mentality, you know? And this is the thing that really, really divided a lot of people, and why a lot of people moved away from the progressive movement is because they really latched on to this whole thing. Oh, you're privileged because you're white. And while middle America, white people were sleeping in their cars, didn't have enough for an emergency, needing $400 in a bank, couldn't send their kids to college too as well. It just split people. It separated them. So just keep that food for thought right there about how we can get things done. Sometimes when we just put our fist down, you know, if you haven't seen my Cuban video that Cheese Slice made, I made it within mind to try to build a bridge using baseball, thinking that I was thinking about the anti-communist middle America white mom that hated, you know, Castro or anything they stood for. I try to get them to a position where they can just put their fist down. That's all I was trying to do, so we can make this connection. And I don't know, that scene is really deep. And thank you guys for joining us today. But let's get into the point where I will not back down and I will move forward. And that is coming when it comes to the anti-China rhetoric, because it can spin out of control. And when you start saying the communists this, and they're trying to turn this country into communism. Really, we're in the most capitalist country in the world. We're in the country where capitalism was surely birthed, today's capitalism. And it's not free market capitalism. It's controlled capitalism by the state. It's more like fascism. The corporations are now controlling the state. We've gotten ourselves into a situation where the 99% is growing more and more poor. However, some people still don't want to blame ourselves, don't want to blame what we did, don't want to blame our government, don't want to take accountability, don't want to take accountability for our foreign policy leading to migration. A lot of other places, they like to blame China. Now, this is going to be upsetting. I'm glad that Lawrence Fishburne mentioned Martin Luther King Jr., how upset it had at him. Look where these people's mentality are, the anti-China rhetoric. Now, this is going to be, oh, it's a small video, Pasta. They don't have a lot of, a lot of freaking clout yet, but it's building. And I've said this before. These people are going to tell you that all our problems are due to China, and China is pulling the strings. Let's take a look at this video. Take a look at his shirt. It has Martin Luther King, Gandhi, and Miles Guo on it.
Miles Guo, my friend, you've got a lot of good people fighting for you. So stay strong. We're here. We're praying. We're on your side. Free Miles Guo. Xi Jinping, we're coming for you. Through keyboard, don't.
Take down the CCP.
Yeah.
Fuck the keyboard.
Yeah,
coming straight at you.
My keyboard's mighty. I'm
coming hard.
I'm gonna get a metal keyboard when I hit you over the head. These are great. Yeah. Oh. And Xi Jinping, you're an ass.
Let's get up the next video too from his other website. This gentleman, oh God, what is his name? Let me even pull it up. I'm so sorry. This is this just blew my mind when I saw this stuff. I'm like, oh, here it goes. These are the Bannonites. And they had this free Miles Guo concert, and Jim Levy played in it. Kelly John Walker, his name is. Jim Levy played in it. A couple other people were there. They're really pushing this thing. Is this sponsored by the Epoch Times? Yeah, they're all tied into the Epoch Times. Take a look at this video. We're gonna play from the get-go. This is from this gentleman's his channel, Real Freedom Talk. Now he only has 2,200 followers on Twitter, but he seems to get a lot more following on other spots. But just take a look at this, because this will tie you right into what's going on. And as China is continuing doing business, unlike the United States, where we come in with a gun and a missile, they come in with their checkbook. They're expanding their power, and they're moving people away from us. This is not going to be, this is the group of people from the Hudson Institute, from the Bannonites, and all these other people who are going to try to goad us into a war. And the whole Congress is there. They're anti-China as can be. But the fact that they're trying to say that China's pulling the strings, that's what they're going to do. They're going to say at the end of the day, it's about China controlling our government with a weather balloon. Go ahead.
Today on Freedom Talk, I'm going to tell you about someone whose story you need to learn. Miles Guo is a friend of freedom who the Chinese Communist Party once locked away forever, if not outright killed. But his story isn't really about Miles Guo or about China. It's about all of us. His story is at the heart of America's struggle to maintain our freedom. If you're not following the Miles Guo story and supporting this struggle, it's time to think again. At the Turning Point USA America Fest in December, I met a group called the New Federal State of China. They had a booth there, and I shared some of my story with them of the lawfare against me and my family and the 2 arrests that I've had. And they shared their story with me, and this is where I first learned about a person named Miles Guo. And I started researching this gentleman and writing articles once I learned how important this man is to our nation, to America, and to our fight for freedom. See, this story is so critical in what we're doing right now in fighting the influence of the Chinese Communist Party, or the CCP. And I want you to know about Miles, because Miles' story affects all of us. And some people say, well, the Chinese Communist Party is China's problem. We got to work on our country first. No, 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 no. The Chinese Communist Party has its tentacles in our country. They've infiltrated the Department of Justice, the FBI, our education, Hollywood, everything. So in order to save our country, we have to decouple from the CCP. We have to kick them out. We have to get them out of our government. And that's a
All
huge
right.
fight
You can
that's
stop
going
that.
on today.
I had enough, right? You know, this is all bullshit. There's no proof of this. This is all conjecture. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it really is messed up. And what are they trying to do? They're trying to move us into a hot war. You can see this next one I brought up here by Sprinter. And this is this is the scary part, because we keep moving closer and closer to a hot war with China, right? The lowest level of relations since 1979. After meeting with his American counterpart in Beijing, China's foreign minister, said that the relations between the two countries are at the lowest since 1979. China's foreign ministry said that in a statement that the country's foreign minister, Qin Kang, made it clear demands on the issue of Taiwan. And we keep pushing this issue with Taiwan, sending all our lawmakers there, sending weapons there, and other core interests of China during the meeting with Blinken. In this statement, Kang has clearly expressed his country's concern about its main interest, including Taiwan, as we know is the hotspot during the meeting. The foreign minister told Blinken that Taiwan is the most important and serious issue in relations between the two countries. The Chinese side asked Blinken to adhere to the principle of a one China and not support the independence of Taiwan. And that's where we're at, guys. This is getting scarier and scarier. If you don't know, my mom, her famous thing when she came crawling on in, I heard they're going to blow up Nancy Pelosi's jet if she goes to Taiwan. Well, do you want her to do that? Yes. Why? I want her to blow up her jet. I mean, it was funny, but it's getting very, very scary. And The Economist wrote this next article over here. Wow. America and China are preparing for war over Taiwan. Let's bring this up nice and big. It would spread far across the region with devastating consequences for the world. Their faces smeared in green and black, with some with Stinger anti-aircraft missiles on their packs. The men of Darkside, the 3rd Battalion of America's 4th Marine Regiment, boarded a pair of Sea Stallion helicopters and clattered away into the nearby jungle. Their commanders followed me in more choppers carrying ultralight vehicles and communication gears. Anything superfluous was left behind. No big screens for the video links of sort used in Iraq and Afghanistan. To avoid detection, the Marines must make sure their communications blend into the background just as surely as they camouflage blends into the tropical greenery. The goal of the exercise, to disperse around the unnamed island, link up with friendly green allies, and repel an amphibious invasion by Red forces. And that will stop right there, because that says it all. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, this isn't something like what they were showing. They had manufactured consent by using 9/11 to go into Afghanistan, to go into other countries, eventually Iraq, because unfortunately the American people were so politically ignorant, especially when it came to foreign policies. They didn't understand the fact that Osama bin Laden and Saddam Hussein hated each other. They're two different types of governments, one being a hardcore Islamic theocrat, the other one being a secularist. They didn't understand that, so they were able to put it on TV. Look, we're going after this. Americans were so filled with hate and anger towards Muslims because of what happened in 9/11. They were able to do that. This is a different game right now. Now they have to blend in. They have to hide. And they're almost doing the same thing they were doing in Ukraine, where they were arming the opposition to the T. The opposition, in this case, opposition of Beijing, being the Taiwan government and their independence that they want to maintain, where a lot of the people just don't feel that way. And I think we have to get more of a grip of what's going on in Taiwan and how people feel. I mean, we saw in Hong Kong a lot of the protests. There were a lot of people fighting each other and beating each other up because there were a lot of pro-Beijing people there that lived there. It wasn't just all anti-Beijing. And that's what the media makes muddy, makes unclear. That's what the Bannonites do. They make you think that everybody in Taiwan is anti-Beijing. That is not the truth at all. You know, I can't give you statistics. I have to do a little bit more digging into that. But from what I understand, there's a very pro-Beijing, group of people, a lot of people pro-Beijing, and they believe in that one China policy. And at the end of the day, what difference does it make what they believe? Why are we even over there? We're over there for one reason, because we do what we always do, and that's start proxy wars. But that F around and find out chart, it's getting, starting to connect a lot. And a hot war with China is not what we need. So we need to really back down off this rhetoric. We have to call it out for what it is, and I know I've been really rough when it comes to Steve Bannon and Jack Posobiec, rightfully so, because they're all out there. They're getting paid by Miles Guo. That same gentleman that they put Miles Guo on a T-shirt with MLK and Gandhi. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You want to talk about an insult over there? That's just ridiculous. They're trying to make this guy a hero. It's unbelievable. We have no business messing around there, but that Miles Guo guy is who funds Steve Bannon. What does China do? China always keeps their business open to everybody. China has this business where they go in with their checkbook, when they go in with their engineering, when they go in with their infrastructure. And I know a lot of people say it's a hidden door. China is going to force these people to be tied into their economy, and if they don't play ball, they'll go and invade. That's what they're saying. They're saying, let's look at the cycles, let's see what's going on. But so many things have changed in the world since the microchip. So many things have changed since technology has changed. And we can't just fall back on the fact that, the Ming Dynasty years ago, they're just lurking, they're getting ready. No, we can only look at their actions. We can look at their military actions. When's the last time China has gone in and started military actions with another country, right? Vietnam in the 70s after their fall and everything that happened over there. It's been years. How often does America get involved with military actions around the globe? Almost every day, all the time. You can't go a day or a week without seeing that U.S. drop some bombs on suspected terrorists. And we are too numb to that in the United States. The foreign policy apparatus, and I've said this before, when it comes to our foreign policy, we're down here, right? We need to get the mindset of what happens foreign policy-wise happens domestically-wise. The chickens will come home to roost. The same type of practices they use in these other countries, they'll eventually use on us over here. And so much of how we are perceived by the countries. I mean, I know a lot of people are here safe thinking, okay, we don't have to worry about planes flying with missiles and stuff. And a lot of people are fearful that our own government's going to turn on the people itself. And it seems like they're doing that when they push this whole domestic terrorist kind of rhetoric and just saying that a Trumper is a domestic terrorist. It's really, really dangerous. But, I mean, how long are we going to be pushing the envelope against these countries like China and Russia and not expect it to come home and hurt us and haunt us? So the Taliban, and this is crazy too, because people have talked about the sanctions in Afghanistan. The sanctions in Afghanistan have actually been worse to the people than the actual bombing at one point, right? Like there's no food in there. Children are starving. Let's pull this article up here from the Cradle, because this is another thing that's really sparking a lot of the rhetoric. The more that China expands themselves economically, their Belt and Road Initiative, more people come aboard with it. If they have anything, one of their 3 bases I believe they have outside of China area, outside of the South China Sea and all these other countries, one's in Djibouti because it's part of the connection of where the Silk Road is supposed to continue on into Africa. Taliban China discussed banking cooperation. Although Beijing does not have formal diplomatic ties with the Taliban government, China is among the few countries that have maintained a diplomatic presence in Kabul since the Taliban took back the country following the U.S. disastrous withdrawal in 2021. A lot of people won't talk about this, but the reasons why we stayed in there for so long, number one, the opioids, poppy seeds, they're there like crazy. Big Pharma needs that. Another reason we want to do is we wanted to deter China from getting involved with these other countries, getting involved in Afghanistan, getting involved in Pakistan. We wanted this there, and that's why we occupied these countries, just to make sure that there was a war going on, so therefore business can't be done, right? Once war stops, business can be done. Corporations might come in, hopefully friendly corporations. I don't know such thing, but when you talk about China, I don't know much about a lot of their corporations, how friendly they are, but Chinese business interests can come in, right? So that's something they wanted to stop. That's the whole Brazil thing with the Bannonites. They jailed Lula, in my personal opinion, is because Lula started BRICS. So if they can keep Lula jailed and get a friendly government in Bolsonaro, then China and Brazil won't do business together. But they knew as soon as Lula got out, they might be happy with his stance on vaccines, that being the United States government, the CIA, Victoria Nuland, because, Bolsonaro was so anti-friggin', jab. And that's something to consider right there. You know what I'm saying? That's a big reason. If the United States is going to be okay with, BRICS Brazil's forming more of an alliance with China, possibility starting their own currency, getting away from American interest, all because of what might be acquiesced within the World Health Organization. That's why you have to look at the situation when it comes out to the COVID protocols very deeply. We don't have all the answers, but we certainly need to look at it because of those reasons. Take a look at this. The Taliban's governor of the Afghan Central Bank, I'm not going to even, Hidayatullah Bahri, met with a Chinese envoy, Wang Yu, this week to discuss banking ties and business, the bank's spokesperson informed Reuters on June 16th. In this meeting, economy, banking relations, business, and some related topics were discussed, said Badri. Although Beijing does not have formal diplomatic ties with the Taliban government, China is among the few countries that have maintained a diplomatic presence in Kabul since the Taliban took back the country following the U.S. disastrous withdrawal in 2021. Following the withdrawal, the Taliban spokesperson, Mujahid, told Italian news outlet La Repubblica that China would be its principal partner in rebuilding Afghanistan after a 20 years U.S. occupation. An occupation that a lot of shit libs said we shouldn't leave because we don't want to abandon the woman. And believe you me, that sentiment is going to come back. That argument is going to come back, that these people are anti-gay, they're anti-woman, it's the Taliban, they're awful. Look at China, what they're doing. There's already this kind of talk or this kind of rhetoric that China treats Muslims like dirt, which is bullshit. And I have a friend of mine who's going on a tour of China to do some work there, and we'll get some more information when they get back. But these things will come into play because what will they do? They'll use this rhetoric to manufacture consent for more regime change, for more interactions. So that's why we have to push back against that. And it's not our country to decide what these people want to do. First of all, the Taliban wouldn't even been in power if it wasn't for the United States. It's the same thing with the theocrats in Iran. If we didn't remove Mossadegh, they wouldn't be in power. So you can't double down with the same actions over and over again. What's it say? Doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity. We need to just be non-interventionists. We need to stay out of it. That's the only answer right now, is we need to get the hell out of people's business, let these countries develop the way they want to. When people go, oh my God, China has 1.3 billion people, okay? If those people want to overturn that government, unlike what that one dude said, then let them overturn that government. It's up to them. China is also interested in bringing in West Asian nation to Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. That's another thing. They never wanted Afghanistan, or they ever wanted any of these countries to be part of this Belt and Road Initiative. If we can stop the foreign policy apparatus of the United States, if we can stop this Belt and Road Initiative, if we can stop any part of it, and they were very selective where they cause problems. That's why they're up in Africa right now. It's like they want to stop these things. They want to have those natural resources for themselves, for the United States corporations, and they don't want China to get a hold of them. And people will still say, oh my God, China this, China that. Economic hitman, right? Stories of an economic hitman. They'll kind of refer to that book and saying that's what China's doing. They're building these economic alliances, and once these countries default, then they'll come in with their military. We don't know that. That's speculation. So we can't say that. U.S. sanctions and banking restrictions have dealt a heavy damage to the Afghanis banking system, which I've said before, caused children to starve, caused people to go cold in the middle of the night, not clean water, not clean medicine, which has been cut off from the global financial system. These policies have served as the primary cause of the country's ongoing economic crisis. Afghan's central bank has been unable to supply adequate liquidity to banks due to its inability to print money and the illegal freeze of nearly $10 billion in foreign reserves, $7 billion of which are held at the Federal Bank of New York. $7 billion of the $10 billion are held at the Federal Bank of New York. What does that say about us, right? When we're going to cut these people off. We always manufacture consent and saying this is about punishing a regime. This is about punishing a government. No, this is about punishing the people. At the end of the day, sanctions are meant for one thing. Sanctions are meant for the people to get so upset and frustrated with the conditions they're living in that they turn on their government. So the United States does this knowingly that they're hurting the people. They're hurting the individuals, the citizens, the babies. That's who they're hurting. And they go ahead and they do that. And they don't give a damn. China has recently shown an economic interest in its neighbor and is seeking investment opportunities in the Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan, the IEA, particularly in mining. We talked about the resources, ladies and gentlemen. We've talked about it, the minerals, all that stuff that's up in the mountain. Yeah, the Chinese want it. And if the United States wanted it, we should have done it the right way. Not turn Afghanistan into a hellhole just because at the time it was the Cold War and we wanted to hurt the Russians. And then we backed the craziest radicals in the Mujahideen, which eventually split off, and aspects of the Mujahideen are now the Taliban today. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's so. In April, the Taliban said the Chinese firm was interested in investing $10 billion in lithium extraction as part of a project that would allegedly employ over 120,000 Afghans. Afghans are looking forward to exploiting their lithium and other mining deposits for their benefit. Shadowbanning, Delaware, the Taliban's Ministry of Mining said. At the start of the year, the Taliban signed an oil extraction deal with the Chinese firm Xinjiang Central Asia Petroleum and Gas Company. So if you ever ask yourself, why were we in there for 20-odd years? Why were we in Afghanistan for so long? Right there's your answer, ladies and gentlemen. This is about corporate interest. This is about the global fascism the West brings. Global fascism, that's what it is. If you want to use a term, that's the term. Not neo-fascist. And no, this is about a global fascist takeover. It's kind of what's going on in Cuba. They're really pissed. When it comes to Cuba, it's not so much about what's going on with the people and the government and communism as a whole. It's more about the corporate interest that used to own Cuba. A lot of people concentrate on the mafia being there and the tourism and the casinos and everything they owned. But it was really more about 80% of their industry was owned by corporations all throughout the country. They want that back. And that's why they've been the way they've been. And, you have to ask yourself these questions. The other day I was talking with Diane Sayre. We were having a phone call about this. It's like, can these people be that stupid, that ignorant? I don't know. You tell me. I mean, that's why a lot of people believe that this is all planned out because they want to get us to a certain place. Charlie Robinson coined the phrase, "This is the controlled demolition of the United States empire." And it almost seems like they want that to happen because they know they can't take back the country because we're the most armed country out there, right? Our citizens have the most weapons. So how about they just crash everything? They control our food lines and then leave us to fight amongst each other. I think that's what a lot of people suspect are going on. But there's a lot of other people who think that, no, this is foreign policy. It's been America's foreign policy for quite some time. They haven't changed. And when they don't get their way, these are like men and, who are just these predator class who are going to jump up and down, stomp their feet until they do get their way. They can't deal with the fact that we're turning into a multipolar world and not a unipolar world and losing their power and their grip. So these are the questions you have to ask yourself, and you have to say, what do you think? I think you have to factor in both parts. Is this meant to be? Is this something that's planned out? Or is this just the foreign policy apparatus can't deal with it, and they don't know how to react, and they are that stupid to do the things they do because it seems like they have a death wish, like they're playing Russian roulette with our lives. This is the last thing I want to talk about in this subject right here. This is funny here. I love this. This is a great one here right now. Oh, my God. Canada freezes activity at China's World Bank after infiltration claims. Canada freezes activity at China's World Bank after infiltration claims. Guys, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. China has infiltrated themselves. Top official resigns and levels accusations that the institution is controlled by the Communist Party members. Canada frozen all activity at the multilateral lender known as China's World Bank after a top official resigned, alleging the institution was run by the Communist Party members who operate like an internal secret police. Bob Pickard, the Canadian Director General for Communications of the Beijing-headquartered Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. Yeah, it's located in Beijing, the headquarters, said he flew to Tokyo on Wednesday because he feared for his safety after raising concerns about what he claimed was the party's infiltration of the lender. The controversy, which underlines the tensions in multilateral institutions trying to bridge the growing divide between China and the West, triggered an immediate response from Ottawa. The government of Canada will immediately halt all government-led activity at the bank, said Chrystia Freeland. Is she related to the other Freeland? Oh, no, Newland is who I'm thinking, Victoria Newland. Canada's finance minister and deputy prime minister. Freeland added she was launching a review of the allegation and Canada's involvement with the AIIB. So, wow, that is that. That's enough from that article over here. But you can see what's going on. These countries are not knowing how to properly react as China grows their influence with soft power. And that's what I go to all the time. They come in with their checkbook. They come in with their engineering. They come in with their infrastructure. They come in with their knowledge. They don't come in with a missile, a tank, a base. They don't come in with demands that you take IMF loans, throwing austerity measures on the people. They come in there and say, let me help you out. Let me do this. So then you're tied to their economy. Who wouldn't want to do business with a company that's coming in and building you stuff? Of course they want to be tied. It's soft power. And that's what we have to concentrate on. And this anti-China rhetoric, this China is the boogeyman, this China is pulling the strings. That's why I showed you the video where it's got the strings. Like they really believe that Xi Jinping is picking up the phone and controlling everything for the Chinese Communist Party. They're not even full-blown communists because they're more like a free market socialist country, right? They have certain entities that the state owns, and don't say, well, they own all the property. The United States, the banks owns all the property. You don't own any property. The banks, you own the note to the property. The bank owns everything. And they've shown they can pull anything, take anything at any time they want. Same thing over there in China, right? Okay, but they have certain structures, certain entities within their country where they own certain things, and they have free market capitalism open up. There are more small businesses per capita of people in China than in the United States. There's more home ownership per capita of people in China than there are in the United States. These are just facts, guys. So you got to deal with it, but this is something we have to push back on because they are going to push for a hot war. I suspect, and maybe I'm wrong, Mark Sloboda thinks different than me, that it's going to be a drawn-out war in Ukraine for years to come, and they can do those things. I suspect that they're going to wrap that up and concentrate everything on Taiwan. And they're going to turn Kiev into the fourth industrial revolution, smart city, kind of look, QR codes and the whole 9 yards. They're already bringing Monsanto in. You see Samantha Power from USAID talking about businesses coming in. They can only achieve that if the firing stops, if there's peace. So I think that's what we have to come, and they will concentrate on moving over to Taiwan. But what does that spell for us? How long are we going to keep on pushing this? How long are we going to F around before we find out? And that's why we have to get so control of this government that we have what's going on right now. And the only way to do that, free, fair, honest, transparent elections. That's my thought. That's my belief. That's it for that section. We do have some super rays. Let's go see what we got over there. Hempcar, thank you so much. The Convo Couch received a tip. 27 people watching as a premium member over there. Why is this messed? Dude, is everything okay on the why is the picture so blurry? Holy cow. It sucks. I don't know. I think something's messed up, guys, with my internet today because it has just been awful. It's just been awful. Let's get to the next one. We have a video over here. This is great. I think everybody knows. Fiorella will be back on Wednesday, guys. She's been traveling. She just was at the Alex Saab event. She gave a great speech over there. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. Guys, let's look at this video. I know everybody's heard about this, and it's kind of odd. A lot of people were telling me the way I went after Cornel West for the COVID protocols that he didn't know a lot about. It just so happens that behind the scenes, well, not behind the scenes, but and adjacent to what we're doing, there was a lot of talk between this donkey over here, Peter Hotez. One of the greatest sins of COVID, in my personal opinion, was the fact that there was censorship, that they didn't allow people in the same room to speak, and they shielded certain people. Dr. Hotez hasn't been able to debate anybody. First of all, if a guy looks like this, I don't know if you really want to necessarily take health advice from him, but he's once again been tied to Big Pharma and all these other companies for quite some time. Well, he says all these things, and this video by Matt Orfalia was made. It pretty much explains everything. Let's go ahead and roll this big screen. Check this out.
One of the things that we're not hearing a lot about is the unique potential safety problem of coronavirus vaccines.
And then something changed.
Any vaccine released by emergency use authorization by the FDA is an outstanding vaccine.
J&J's vaccine has a risk of life-threatening blood clots.
When you hear the beep, that's the sound of safety.
So don't overthink it. They're both really good. They're all really good vaccines. Get vaccinated now.
You gotta call now.
If you wait, it's going to be really too late to protect your child.
If this was your child, what happens next could make it the worst day of your life.
So even though COVID poses zero threat to healthy children,
vaccinate your children.
Do the right thing. Be safe and not sorry.
I'm strongly recommending for adolescents to get their 2 doses of vaccine and fully immunized after those 2 doses.
Advanced technology that can help save lives.
This is going to be a long-lasting vaccine.
A few moments later,
we're seeing that 2 doses is not holding up well for emergency room visits. It's not holding up well for hospitalizations.
Here we go again.
everyone's going to need a booster. You need that third immunization.
Triple the amount.
Get that third immunization. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. The 2 mRNA vaccines were always a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. I've always said this is a 3-dose vaccine. This is a 3-dose vaccine.
But I'm not done yet.
That third immunization, the problem is it's not holding up. So we may have to look at sort of innovative solutions.
Oh God, not this again.
A fourth immunization, just to keep them going, to keep the country going. We have to consider some out of the box things. A fourth immunization, a fourth immunization. Get that second boost. A second boost to keep the country going. I've made that recommendation. A fourth immunization.
But I'm still not done.
1 semester later.
Unfortunately, the numbers are starting to trend up again. So the hospitalizations are up. And so the most important message that I have this morning is get your new bivalent booster.
Willie and Lise were saying they got their booster, and I was like, oh, I need to get mine. And then I found out they're talking about the third shot. And is that the bivalent, or is it the fourth booster, or does it matter? Like,
don't worry so much about the number of.
There's no wrong way to use it.
You have to get it. This new bivalent booster.
You can double or triple stack them.
The new bivalent one is doing a much better job. You have to get a booster.
Yeah.
You need to get this new bivalent booster. That bivalent booster for COVID.
But does everyone ages 12 and older need a booster?
The answer is yes. Yes. And by the way, if you're over 50 and have gotten 2 boosters and more than 2 to 4 months out, you're going to need a third booster as well, a 5th immunization.
5.
I don't think we're going to need an annual booster like flu.
Eventually.
Dr. Hotez supports yearly boosters, just like flu.
But I'm still not done.
It looks as though the boosters are not holding up quite as well as we'd like. And I think our thinking is going to change, and that what's going to happen is every, few months, we may need another booster.
Perfect results each and every time.
We just could not overcome that massive disinformation campaign, these fake concepts of herd immunity and discrediting masks.
Dr. Hotez, you are a national treasure.
It is picking off young people like we've never seen.
Dr. Peter Hotez, that was extremely informative.
Disinformation that you're hearing, that kids are fine, it's nonsense. Kids need to get that vaccination.
You healthcare workers have been our saviors.
Watch out for that misinformation.
Dr. Peter Hotez is probably one of the smartest people on this topic.
If you haven't gotten your 5 and up vaccinated yet, now's the time to do that.
Dr. Peter Hotez, thank you for saving the world.
They also support giving that third immunization for the 12 to 17-year-olds. People have to feel safe.
Dr. Hotez, you are a voice of reason.
Take down the fake information, these fake concepts of herd immunity. Our last hope is to vaccinate our way through this. Make certain that everybody's vaccinated, including their kids. That's the single most important thing right now the American people have to do.
Dr. Peter Hotez was a person that we like to go to for the sort of expertise.
The single most impactful thing you can do is make certain that you're fully boosted and preferably 2 boosted.
Later.
Monkeypox is a global emergency.
And it's accelerating among a specific social network of men who have sex with men, not because it's sexually transmitted.
Monkeypox is sexually transmitted, almost exclusively.
Before we let you go, we have to stop and applaud you because a lot of MSNBC viewers who have watched you constantly for the last 3 years or so and have come to trust you. I don't know if they fully appreciate what you have done.
Notice he's by himself in a lot of these things. And notice who's praising him. The mainstream media networks. Who sponsors mainstream media? I mean, almost every single mainstream media show has some type of Pfizer sponsorship there. We know this for quite some time. And the fact is, we said it before, right? Censorship. That is the biggest part of this. The biggest sin of COVID-19 is that they didn't allow people come in for conversations, and they didn't allow for robust debate, and they hid these people. Dr. Hotez over here should go and debate Joe Rogan on Joe Rogan's show, or RFK, or pick another spot if he wants to. And I don't want to hear this thing where it says, oh, he's a scientist, he's different. Well, doctors have a different perspective because they actually work on patients, and they can know what works and what doesn't work simply by trial and error. Let's take a look at the Zero Hedge article over here really quickly. We'll peel through it. Double talking, Vaccine scientist refuses to debate RFK Jr. despite 1.5 million charity pot. In other words, if he really cared about people, he'd go and debate because he got 1.5 million total now up there to hand over to charity, and he won't do it. He always keeps himself in his own echo chamber, safe from anybody else. You got the whole mainstream media who's sponsored by Pfizer. All those people who you see on the mainstream media, they get those fancy checks. They get them from mainly the pharmaceutical companies, and that's what this is about. With Dr. Fauci having exited from stage left, well, he ain't going to be exiting completely. We know where he's at. We know what he did. The mainstream media has anointed a new vax-peddling talking head, Dr. Peter Hotez. Last week, podcast giant Joe Rogan had Hotez on his show, where he proceeded to badmouth anti-vax presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Before telling Rogan that he'd be uncomfortable debating him. Why would you be uncomfortable? So here it is. Joe Rogan first challenged Peter Hotez to debate RFK Jr. on the science of vaccines in 2019, but he declined. He's an attorney, and he's very clear. He's very clever, and he knows how to do arguments in court. And what am I? I'm a scientist, but you're not a doctor, right? Or are you a doctor scientist? Yeah, you are. Okay. Whatever the case may be. First of all, I don't want to take any health advice from you whatsoever. Rogan also called him out for being a hypocrite. Joe Rogan grills Dr. Peter Hotez for exclusively promoting vaccines while disregarding exercise, vitamins, and a healthy diet. There's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases. You do think vitamins are needed while you eat junk food. Can you play that video real quick, cheese slice right there? Just play it right.
Do you take care of your immune system in other ways? Do you take probiotics? Are you about your diet?
I'm not as cautious about my diet as I should be. I'm a junk foodaholic, actually.
Well, that seems like a terrible thing for your health.
It is a terrible thing for my health, and something my wife is working on.
But that seems ridiculous for someone who works with health.
Yeah.
What's going on with you, man?
Sometimes, man, I just don't get it right.
How often?
What?
How often?
How often do I steal a bag of chips or something like that?
Do you eat garbage?
I don't know. No, hopefully not every day, but
Hopefully not every day.
Yeah, maybe a couple of times a week.
Oh.
That's what with Rachel, my daughter with autism. That's like our thing is to go to the it's called the burger joint or to Shake Shack to get a cheeseburger. We'll sneak some fries.
So you
live in large, we call it.
Like that mouth pleasure so much, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit.
I
of health.
am. Yeah. I have to concede that's the case.
Well, there's, I don't have to tell you, but there's a large body of data that connects poor diet to a host of diseases.
Mm-hmm.
That seems like a crazy decision for a guy in your line of work.
There you go. Sometimes it's not all brain. It's something else.
But if you ate healthy food, the thing is your body starts craving healthy food. You start feeling
no question.
results.
No question about it.
Do you take vitamins?
I don't take vitamins.
Really?
Yeah. I
Wow.
I don't think they do. I don't think they're needed because most in the American.
Hold up. You don't think they're needed while you're eating junk food?
Well, hopefully I'm not only eating junk food.
Okay,
right?
but there's a large body of clinical research on the efficacy of vitamins, especially vitamins D, vitamins B.
I have taken vitamin D for periods on the recommendation of my internist. Yeah.
What about essential fatty acids, which are great for your brain, fish oil, all these different things that are fantastic.
I'm not gonna argue with you.
What is going on with you, doctor?
You got it. You got it over me. Yeah.
You got to listen, but you would have a much better argument.
You're making my wife's day here.
If you're taking care of yourself 100% instead of
but you still need your vaccines.
I'm sure you do, but vaccines aren't going to prevent cancer.
No, that's true.
Right.
That's
and
true.
There's a lot of diseases
or diabetes or cardiovascular disease.
And a lot of these diseases are connected directly to diet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Come on.
Man. And other lifestyle changes.
Yeah. Got to get exercising.
Sedentary life. I try to go on the treadmill for 30 minutes.
You try.
Every morning. I do. Actually, I'm pretty good about that.
Yeah.
30 minutes every morning.
Why don't you just go for an actual walk? It's more interesting.
I do that too. So I do about 30 minutes on the treadmill in the morning, and then I take a long walk with my wife in the evening.
Oh, that's good.
But the thing that knocks the crap out of you is the travel.
Yes.
I find that very frustrating because you don't exercise right, and then you don't eat well, and you don't control the diet as well. So that's
well, I have a solution to that, and eat well.
Well, it's what can I say that hasn't been said right there in that video over there? And this is kind of like what they talked about when it came to the COVID-19 pandemic. It was just big pharma and their hustle. Don't worry about eating right. Don't worry about exercise. Don't take anything accountability, for your health whatsoever. Just come to us. If you're feeling sick, take a shot. If you're feeling sick, we'll give you a pill. Pay us to be dependent on us. That's what they want, right? I mean, and that's what Dr. Hotez is doing. He has no problem saying the bullshit he spouts all the time because he's never put in a position where he'll be challenged. And this is it right here. Cards are on the table. This is when we're talking about it comes to the COVID-19, right? When it comes to all this situation, that being RFK's strongest point as a candidate, where it is now seen where Dr. Cornel West, it's his weakest point, and the fact that he'd even know who Fauci is and the crimes he's committed against humanity, and this guy's dipped out. But this is more of the same when it comes to Dr. Hotez. I just want to show really quick. We can show inside the article. We don't have to go to the separate ones. Cheese Slice, the next tweet down below, right there. It says Spotify has stopped even sort of trying to stem Joe Rogan's vaccine misinformation. It's really true. Anna Merlan, just awful. And from the online attacks I'm receiving after this absurd podcast, it's clear many actually believe this nonsense. And then Joe Rogan retweets him. Hey, Peter, if you claim that what RFK is saying is misinformation, I'm offering you $100,000 to charity, right? Or is that, it's $100,000, right? $100,000 to charity of your choice if you're willing to debate him on my show with no time limit. And then other people jumped in saying, I'll throw money in the kitty. I'll throw money in the kitty. And RFK said respectfully, Peter, let's finally have the respectful, congenial, informative debate that the American people deserve. And that's what we do deserve. That's what we've deserved for quite some time. That is what we didn't get. That was the biggest sin, the censorship. They didn't let doctors be doctors. We weren't allowed to have conversations. That's why I challenged Dr. Cornel West. And I said, one of the harshest thing you could say, Dr. West, is that people aren't masking up because they don't love their neighbor. No, they weren't masking up because they don't believe the risk was worth the reward. And more than anything, we didn't have the conversation about that. And we can go on and on about what masks can do, what they do. Is the risk worth the reward? And simply when you look at these things, I'm going to say no. That's just my own thing. After January 6th, unless I was told I had to wear a mask when I went overseas and other places, I didn't wear a mask. That was it for me when I was at the Capitol. Because a friend to me said, oh, you're still wearing your mask. And I was like, not anymore. I realized that I was only doing things because I was pressured to do things. That's what happened during the whole COVID era. We were pressured to do things by our neighbors. It was tribe mentality. And that's why we're in the position where we're at to this day. And so many people, there's a lot of people who lost their lives, and it really is a shame. Look at Viva Fry's his tweet. This one is great. Bring up the next one. Take a look at this. This is just crazy. Look what, and you're gonna have to make these bigger, Cheese Slice, and we can kind of scan through it. But if you look at I don't know if you can do that. Might be tough. Rip apart the Trump anti-science White House disinformation campaign. Putin weaponized health communication. Listen to what this guy's saying. Putin weaponized health communication. The right-wing extremist anti-vaccine attacks. Hey, man, I'm no right-wing extremist, bro. I'm a leftist that has always been skeptical of Big Pharma. And that's what I thought when I told him, too, when I told Dr. West. If you haven't seen the interview, go see it. I told him, I said, Dr. West, our greatest enemy, our biggest foe was the pharmaceutical, Big Pharma, the pharmaceutical lobbyists. All of a sudden now, because there's a pandemic, they're benevolent. And are we going to even question where this vaccine came from? I mean, where the virus came from? And I gave him that other question. Was it a natural occurrence? Did it come from a lab, or was it a bioweapon? Did it leak from a lab, or was it a bioweapon let out? And he said, I think we have to look at all three of those. Dr. West, you got to get caught up on these things. You got to know what's going on. You have to, if you have not eliminated by now natural occurrence, that this came from a wet market in Wuhan, you need to have your head examined or just get up to speed. It's just ridiculous that you don't know this. Everybody's admitted to it now that they knew what's going on. We have all the ties. We have all the receipts. We've been doing this for quite some time, gain of function testing. This isn't nothing new. So we have to wake up. Halting Delta transmission through vaccination. Okay, here's something that we have to understand. The vaccine was never therapeutical, right? That's why ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine were talked about so much, because they were therapeutic. You get it, you take it. You got the coronavirus, you couldn't take a vaccine as a therapeutical. The vaccine was only for preventative measures. So that's something we have to go in there. So for him saying halted Delta transmission through vaccination is kind of, he's got to clarify. He didn't clarify there. The next one. Second, we must change the definition of what it means to be fully vaccinated. I was disappointed when the FDA, CDC advisory committees voted down universal third mRNA immunizations. Now, first of all, that mRNA technology is all experimentational, right? It's never been tested before, never in humans. They jabbed up a couple rodents and said it was good. But he also wanted to change the definition of vaccination. This is something that Ron DeSantis said out loud. And when everybody goes, oh, Ron DeSantis was great when it came to the COVID. No, he got a new attorney general and he changed his mind. Ron DeSantis said this, and this is something that the CDC did right out of the gate, which I thought was the biggest data manipulation of our time. You were only considered vaccinated at 2 weeks after your second shot. Then they wanted to be 2 weeks after your third shot, right? If you were partially vaccinated, you were lumped with the unvaccinated. So you can say, all the people, this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated. No, because you're lumping the partially vaccinated people with the unvaccinated. Nothing's mentioned there by Professor Peter Hotez, MD. He is a doctor, so there we are. Kind of healthy doctor is he. Third, we must recognize that the immunity to infection and recovery is not robust. Since when? Since when did that change? I even know the basics of that's the best way to protect yourself. Natural immunity is the best. It's always been the best. It will never change. That's been something for quite some time. They had to change that. They had to change a lot of things. They had to change the fact that asymptomatic now spread the disease like crazy when it's a small, less than 1% that spread asymptomatically. And they used the Wuhan test. That's something that Peter McCullough talked about for quite some time. And that crushed their whole theory. They did this study in Wuhan. They knew that if you're asymptomatic, you don't spread the virus. If asymptomatic doesn't spread widely, then there's no need for lockdowns. That means if you're sick, you stay at home, you stay quarantined, and the rest of the world can operate. Small businesses don't have to close down. People can do, you know what I'm saying? They're not going to go crazy because they were locked up. Think about the mental illness that went off the chart, right? Think about the domestic violence that went off the chart. It's just ridiculous. Our poor children that we masked up, their communication skills now shot. And we're going to feel this in years to come. We're going to have a whole freaking generation full of psychos. Fourth and final, we need to vaccinate the kids. Why? We showed you that stat in the beginning of the video. Matt Orfalea did a great job putting up that stat. 0.0001% of kids died from coronavirus. Why in the friggin' world would you want them to get vaccinated? Once again, under emergency use authorization, just like today, meaning they're not liable. They have qualified immunity. You can't sue them. So what do they have to lose? They don't care if they kill you. They're not going to get sued. As I've said repeatedly, with this raging transmission, the only way I'm thinking he's saying we'll get through the in-person classes is everyone walking into school is masking up our children, possibly exception of some special needs to kids, and everyone 12 and up is vaccinated from the COVID-19. He's just a shill, a cuck for Big Pharma. That's all he's ever been. Some tough decisions this weekend. Wait, can't see. I can't see the one to the left. Thank you. Stop right there. Some tough decisions this weekend, the next few days regarding benefits versus risk of implementing quarantine around the U.S. cities with high COVID-19 transmission. The Great Barrington Declaration. We couldn't have these conversations. These people were demonetized. They were taken down. They were shadow banned. They were just outright cut off from any type of conversations. Doctors were not allowed to be doctors, and that's where we are today. And the last one on the bottom right there, cheese slice. Professor Peter Hotez, MD, PhD. Looks like I've tested positive for COVID. Moderate symptoms of fatigue, headache, and sore throat. Isolating at home, doing Zoom meetings. I'm grateful to have been vaccinated, boosted, and certainly prevented more severe illness. Just started Paxlovid, transmission up. Be careful. Keeping the fear there, keeping the threat there, pushing the pharmaceutical drugs, not going along with ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine. If you want to know why they couldn't go along with hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin more than anything, is because to have an emergency use authorization, there can be no alternatives. That's the thing. So they had to say that didn't work for them to push their vaccines. With that being in the background and saying it's not beneficial for ivermectin for COVID, and this is the reason why Africa didn't have big outbreaks, because they took it as a prophylactic. For river blindness and for other parasitical diseases. This is why they didn't break out. So by doing so, you know what I'm saying, because they couldn't make a ton of money off that, they had to suppress the information. And they knew this back in fact, let me see. I have a video really quickly I'm going to show. They knew, right, for quite some time that ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine worked for coronaviruses because they've been doing these studies for quite some time. Let me bring this up real quick. Take a look at this, guys. You'll love this here. They knew about ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine back in 2015. Best ever. Stock up. They don't want you to have it, which you should have it. Is in the criminal act by the governments. Don't trust them. Take a look at this. This doctor, here we are from quite some time ago talking about this hydroxychloroquine.
Important thing to realize is that
Dr. Chris Shoemaker.
North American science spent 15 years figuring out what to do with the next COVID. It was back 2002, 2003, the original SARS-CoV-1 occurred. And so all sorts of experiments went on to determine what would be a useful response were something similar to occur. And the research was done. Research was all done by 2015, 2016. And DARPA, D-A-R-P-A, the American research arm of the U.S. military, it specifically knew and specifically recommended and passed the information on to the CDC that ivermectin in particular was the absolute #1 product to be used in the event of a coronavirus pandemic. It was fully known that ivermectin, and certainly hydroxychloroquine as well, were highly antiviral and immune modulatory. And those two things were the key, to modulate the immune response, plus to be antiviral as well. Those elements were both totally proven in vitro and in vivo with animals, so that it was known, and of course we knew it was completely safe for humans because these medications have been used for 35 to 40 years in humans. And so that's what was sitting there ready to be used at the next pandemic. Important thing to realize is that.
So there you have it, plain and simple. They knew, they understood. And that's why they say, and the whole horse dewormer thing, when he spelled it out, it's been used mostly in humans since, the whole horse dewormer thing was just so, it showed you that they colluded. Joe Rogan has said that they showed you that they were colluding, that they're all on the same page. Mainstream media, all those personalities don't get a check without Big Pharma and they're paying them. That's why they make obscene amounts of money, because they'll say what they're told to say to make that money. Their cash depends on it, and they care about that more than the truth. Unlike us here in this space, independent media, a lot of us doing this because we felt a need, a responsibility to get the truth out there and show our perspectives, because we're not pushed or propagated by Big Pharma like these guys are. Now, this is the last part of this whole situation, because this is something a lot of people are talking about. Some people are blowing it out of proportion, saying it's the worst thing ever. Some people are saying it's okay. I'm kind of in between. I don't think that you should go to the doctor's house to question him and what's going on. Now, there's a lot of people who feel really strongly about what this guy being a big voice. But what's his name? Let me bring his name up really quick. I think it's Alex Rosen, right? Alex Rosen confronted him at his house, the doctor at his house. I'm not going to recommend you guys do this, guys. Don't do this. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world, but I'm not going to recommend it. Alex Rosen showed up at the doctor's house and is kind of actually providing him some ammunition to push back. Like, look, these guys are hounding me. They're stalking me. This is Alex Rosen. Take a look at showing up at Dr. Hotez's house.
Okay. Oh, are you Peter Hotez?
I am. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hey. So why are you not going to debate RFK on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, come on. That's harassing.
I'm just curious.
What?
Nothing hostile, just curious.
I haven't said anything one way or the other.
I mean, are you planning on doing it?
He just invited me, so we'll see.
And I think you should, though.
Well, we'll give it some thought.
Okay.
Okay.
And what do you have to say to people who think they're vaccine injured? Anything for them?
Don't come to my house.
I mean, do you have anything to say to people that think? Do you have anything to say to people? Yeah. I mean, do you think vaccine injuries are real, Peter? Peter, it's just a question. Settle the science now. On a safari to go vaccinate more kids? Okay. Oh, are you Peter Hotez?
I am. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hey. So why are you not going to debate RFK on Joe Rogan's podcast?
Oh, come on. That's harassing.
I'm just curious.
What?
Nothing hostile, just curious.
I haven't said anything one way or the other.
I mean, are you planning on doing it?
I just
That's good.
Just invited me, so we'll see.
And I think you should, though.
Well, we'll give it some.
Okay.
You playing it twice?
And what do you have to say to people who think they're
Slice.
vaccine injured?
That's good. All right. That guy don't look too healthy. I'm not going to take a lot of health advice from that guy. You know what I'm saying? But once again, I wouldn't recommend doing that, showing up. You know, I mean, the whole thing, oh, you're Peter Hotez? Yeah, you know he's Peter Hotez, man. You showed up at his house, bro, dude. Come on. But it's out there. And if he wants to take the debate, if he really wants to push vaccines on children, if he wants to really just, go along with these things, there's your opportunity. Do it. Get on there and debate. And I don't think you're going to see him debate because he's got a losing argument. They can make all these type of excuses. A lot of people are saying the reason why you don't debate conspiracy theorists is that you lift their voice up. No, you don't. That's not true. That's a bullshit shit excuse. If you have the goods, you go on, you debate, and you settle it with conversation. And that's not what's being done. So just something to keep in mind. That is that for that subject. I got a couple super rays, a couple super chats. Not super chats. I can't get super chats, which we'll get into that because I'm still demonetized. But if you take a look, Gregory Walker says, Pasta, just wanted to shout out the fact you hit that interview wicked hard, HAWD. You went yad, YAWD on Dr. West. To quote the movie The Big Short, the truth is a lot like poetry, and most people fucking hate poetry. As for the two-party illusion, the movie The Departed sums it up. You can be a cop or a criminal, but when you when staring down the barrel of a loaded guns, what's the difference? Thank you, Gregory Walker. Thank you for the compliments and all you out there who gave me great accolades and great compliments. Scotty Johnson, great job with Dr. West interview, Pasta. Thank you, Scotty Johnson. I do definitely appreciate it. Thank you to the 219 people watching on YouTube. Why the hell? My internet is just shot, guys. I'm so sorry. Is it okay? How's it looking? Man, it's terrible. I just want to point out this last thing really quickly. What do you got over there, Jamie? I see you got something up over there. Rumble sucks. Let's play this. And I want to show you. We're going to go search for the interview of the Cornel West. We're going to put in Cornel West in the search box, and then we're going to scroll through it. But what do you got right here first, G-Slice? Cheese, I can't hear you.
Well, this is a guy who works with Alex Jones, but he's just talking about
Stu Peters.
Yeah. He actually gets censored by Rumble as well. So I thought this was kind of interesting when you said we're not getting our videos shown. Well, it's not just us. There's a lot of people it's actually happening to over at Rumble as well as YouTube. Do you want to watch the video or just?
Let's do it. Let's watch it.
Okay.
You can find the show at stupeters.tv every day. We broadcast a frank speech on Lindell TV every day. We're on Brighteon TV every day. We're at Rumble. We're ready to go on Cozy TV. We've told them we're ready to go. I guest host Alex Jones on Fridays, 4th hour, final hour of the Alex Jones Show. And we know that some platforms are better than others. For example, Gab TV will never censor. Gab TV will never censor. Andrew Torba, who I've had extensive conversations with, is a real Jesus-loving, God-fearing American patriot and a company that's based right here in the United States. And we know that some platforms are better than others, but like I have said in the past, I don't care if they want to play the Stu Peters show at HillaryClinton.com, Globalist.net, the World Economic Forum. They can put it wherever they want to because my message never changes, which is the message of truth. And I will just tell you this right now, is that when I say Rumble's the enemy of the people, that's a fact. That's a fact. They are liars. They're a Canadian-based company that censors the hell out of me. They delete followers. They delete videos. They unsubscribe people. They hide my content, despite the fact that I meet every single criteria to be on their editors' picks and recommended platforms and all this other stuff. The page that when you first go to the page and it shows you like recommended videos, they have certain criteria to get there based on the number of views. I have videos with 3 million views and they've never been there. Very important information that people need to know. Why does everybody have to sneak around and dig super hard to find the Stu Peters show amongst these so-called conservative free speech platforms? BS. Rumble's the enemy of the people and they're liars. Don't let them deceive you.
All right. Let's do me a favor. Go to Rumble real quick. Let's
Okay.
bring up Rumble on the screen, right? Cheese slice?
Yeah, I got you.
You gotcha.
I don't.
And
I want to just bring it fresh.
let's do this in real time, guys. Let's take a look at this. So we're gonna bring up Rumble. You there?
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. There we go.
Okay, so bring up Rumble. Let's go into that search box. Let's see. Maybe it's different on yours because it's not on mine. Bring up in that search box. Put Dr. Cornel West. Or Cornel West. Let's try Cornel West. All right, so we're not there. Let's scroll through this now. Not there, not there. Keep going. Keep scrolling. Not there, not there, not there. There's RBN stuff.
Indian News Network.
Hey, Indian News Network. There's RBN. Keep scrolling. Oh, he's running. Oh, there's due dissidence. All right, cool. Couple due dissidence. Keep scrolling. More due dissidence. Indian News Network. RBN. Keep scrolling. Keep scrolling.
Useful Idiots.
Keep scrolling. Useful Idiots. JB Font. Progressive Toast. All right, go to second page. Surely we must be on the second page. Due dissidence. RBN. Keep going, guys. RBN. Who else? Jimmy. Oh, wait. Let's go up real quick. Jimmy Dore Show. Okay.
Progressive
Soapbox. Okay. Revolutionary Blackout. Sticks, Heads, and Hammer. There's RBN. Due dissidence. Okay. All right.
All right. Now this is most relevant. Let's try looking at.
Wait. Let's keep going though. Let's keep going.
You want to keep going? You want to keep going?
Because mine should be relevant. Why wouldn't mine be?
Well,
relevant?
I was going to say let's just do most recent because some of these are 10 days ago. Let's check. Do you want to keep going?
Go number 3. No, because it's got most relevant and it should have showed up by now. Breaking Points, Stan Nauman. Most people are going to just put that in there and check. Denise DeSouza. These are years ago. Some of them. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Indy Left. Okay. Due Dissidence. Let's keep going and see if I'm on here at all. Let's just see if I'm on here at all. Keep going. Nope, I'm not there. Go to number 4. Okay, wait. Sabby Sab. She's deep. I mean, buried. Jordan.
Well, she showed up on the first page too, though.
Yeah, keep going. Yeah, she was on the first page. JB Font.
Generation.
Majority Report. Let's get him in there. Okay. Keep going. All right. Wait. I got to be somewhere. No? Okay. We Are the News. People's Party. Sticks, Head, Hammer now. Hardlands. Okay, let's go number 5. I got to be on the 5th page, right?
No, not seeing anything.
Sabs. There's Carolyn Bursenko, whatever her name is. DJ Elf had one. Okay. All right. Okay. RBN again. RBN. Okay.
All right. There's Candace Owens. Okay. Now this is relevant search. So maybe since your video was only like 2 days ago, it'll show up in most recent.
No, because they had videos that were up. The due dissident ones that were after mine yesterday were on the second page.
I know, but I mean it's most recent, so it should surely be up on the first page.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, it should be here, and I know it's going to be here eventually by most recent. But the factor, what decides what is relevant?
Well,
there's ones with 29 views, 9 views, 9 views. There's videos up there that have hardly any freaking views. How many do we have on our on the Convo couch right now? I'm going to tell you how many we have. I'll go to real quick.
Well, the reason I want to bring up most recent because I don't think you're right about it.
Bring it up because hopefully
I don't think you're right about it. I don't think so. This is 4 days ago. Breaking Points, Misfits, Political Misfits, Sabby Sabs. 4 days ago is longer, is longer than when we did.
Okay, so it's almost 1.5. So we're not on. Okay, we're not even on. We're not even relevant.
We're not on most. We're not even on most recent. 6 days. Look at that.
Because here's the thing. YouTube works probably with freaking Rumble to make sure they demonetize and censor shit, guys. You can see this.
The only way I can get your video to come up is if I type in Convo Couch. Even then, it's not the first one.
Go ahead. Keep scroll though.
Oh, wait. It didn't even show up this time.
Keep scrolling.
That's relevant. There's just 3 videos. Cornel West, Convo Couch. You got Mr.
Try
Winston.
the Convo Couch.
Okay, let's try it. Nothing.
Guys.
Nothing.
Of course, it's on the Convo Couch channel page.
Here's the well, yeah, that's not the. This isn't going to show up first because this is the Convo Couch account. But
here, all right. So here, look, guys. Let me really quickly. I'm going to bring this up. Here's the page. Hold on. Okay. So this is Convo. Here it is. So it's right here. There's the live stream going on right now. There's the other ones we put up there. And they got decent views for like little clips. You guys have been doing awesome. There's my other one right there. It's right here. You know, yesterday, one other video showed up that I talked about Cornel West, but it's clearly obvious that they're censoring the video. Try YouTube real quick.
Okay,
I'll remove mine.
Give me a second to bring it up. All right. We're on YouTube.
So put Cornel West. Let's see what happens.
There we go.
Yesterday it was all right. So let's scroll down here. Let's keep going. There's these. There's 5. Keep going. There you go.
Bad faith.
David Pac-Man gets some love. I'm saying, okay, look at these.
Democracy Now! Status
Oh,
quo.
there's Bree. People's Party is the Majority Report. Fox News, Real News. The Hill. Katie Halper. Keep going.
Secular Talk. Humanist Report.
Okay, keep going. It's got to be here somewhere, no? There's his video. There was I can't remember the other guy's dude's name. There's all these other people up here. Oh my God, keep going. What, Mom?
Russell Brand. Stout Film. We've got Democracy Now! We're going to find it. There's Tim Black, The Young Turks, TMZ, Rational National, ABC News. Oh, we got to show up there. There's Jimmy Dore, Marymount Institute.
Keep going.
We're at 7 years ago. There's 1 day ago. Still don't see it. There's Democracy at Work. The Hill. We got Spielman College, JR Eclipse, University of South Indiana. Oh, there's Sabby Sabs. Still haven't seen it. Look how far down I am. Way down here.
Keep going.
Wow. There's more Due Dissidents, Bad Faith. And these are old videos too, years ago. 10 years, 8 years. There's 1 day ago for Tim Black. Let's see. Still don't see it.
It should be here sooner or later.
Yeah, well, there's 8 years ago, 1 year ago, 8 years ago, 10 years ago.
All right.
Power Media.
So it's not even coming up. So you can see this, guys.
It's not there.
They are burying this video, guys. Try
up to date. This is up to date.
All right, let's see.
14 minutes. I think we actually show up on this.
Oh, wait. That was Due Dissidents.
That's Due Dissidents.
The combo, it's the Due Dissidents one. So
yeah, it's them talking about us shows up before the Convo Couch. There they are again. But I think we actually do show up here.
There it is.
Oh no, that's not us. That's Don DeBar.
Oh.
That's Don DeBar talking about us.
Okay, so listen, guys, I got to wrap up because I got to get on a flight. There's one of our things that Putin have a choice.
There's one.
We got a clip.
There's one finally shows up.
All right, we got a clip. But okay, guys, you could see what's going on, right? You could see that it's a little ridiculous. The fact that they are censoring this on YouTube, on Rumble. I mean, the chips are stacked against us. It's going to be really hard. But that's it for today, guys. Fiorella will be back on Wednesday. Thank you guys so much. If you haven't got a chance, go watch the video. Go check it out. And we'll go from there, guys. I can't thank you guys enough. It was an unbelievable interview. I'm glad that Dr. Cornel West took it. So that's it for today, guys. Convo out. We'll see you soon. Remember, you can go to our Patreon, our Rumble if you want, our Rockfin. Go to our Rockfin if you can, because that's our free speech platform. It's a shame what they're doing. We'll see you soon, guys. Convo out.